Hi everyone, I'm Sunny, and today's video will be about your grandparents, whether your grandparents will be accepting a certain life event in your life currently. So you can put it in this yes or no format, and then you'll get your answers. So example, like your grandparents, whether they'll be accepting you moving away, or whether they'll be accepting of your new partner, or like committing to them, things like that. So I will start with the first pile if you guys are ready. So sorry, my throat's been terrible. For the first pile number one, you guys have the Justice card upright. This is a yes. This seems like a great answer. You're more than welcome to get your own intuitive message when you're seeing the Justice card, but overall, the vibe I get from this pile. Sorry, I'm trying not to sound so scratchy. Maybe I should lower my voice a bit. Overall, I do think that they'll be very fair. I do think they treat you nice. I don't necessarily think your grandparents are like mean or grumpy or very old fashioned. I do think they're very not trying to say they're modern, but they're very good at being fair with people, and they see all perspectives. They weigh in on all solutions and problems and consequences and causes. So I do think they're very well established with the good head on their shoulders. So I don't necessarily think you're coming here to like, not that you're trying to find out dirt about them, but I do think you just wanted that confirmation that they really mean what they say. I think you're just trying to get like, if they meant to say like, I support you on whatever you're doing on your endeavors, and you're like, do they really? I think you're just coming for the confirmation. This is a yes. Like your grandparents are 100% behind you. They mean well. they aren't being two-faced or anything like that. So I think that's great. I do think they are lovely people. I do think they're very they know how to speak with sweet words. I think they just have a lot of love and affection for you. Very Venusian, so I always think like it's very not motherly, but how can I say, it's like someone really like taking you under their wing or being sweet. Like they really just know how to understand you, and they are good at just listening. They don't have to implement their voice all the time to say what they're thinking. I think you can read from their actions, and they mean what they say. But I overall think they're great listeners. They understand you. They're people that love you and care for you and cherish you. Even if they crossed over, that's the energy that I'm getting. I do think they're being fair. They're being fair, and they like you overall and the path you're doing and how you're going about it. So they have no complaints. I do think they really are being fair. They're just like allowing you to be who you need to be, and I think they're just great listeners. It's just very sweet. I really like this pile. Great grandparents, by the way, whoever you're channeling. So next, pile number two, you guys have the Three of Cups upright. So I do feel this is a yes for you. I do feel that your grandparents would be very accepting of your life events, your life choices, your life, this particular thing you're thinking about that you're concerned about. I do think they're a good time. I think your grandparents know how to have a good time, how to have parties, how to interact and mingle, and just be very friendship oriented people. I do think they might have kept close connections for the most of their life. When it comes to having friends, like outside from their family and stuff. But I do think they're a good time. I do think they like how you put your emotional aspects into everything and people. I don't know why I think this is like a people thing. So maybe like if you're moving away, or if you're meeting people, or if you're mingling with families and stuff, I just feel that you are in a good spot. They're supportive. They're liking what you're doing. But they're very happy, like in the sense of like they're the life of the party. Like they're not gonna be old-fashioned grandparents like, I'm just gonna sit here and like do my thing and you guys can go have a fun time or whatever. No, they're gonna accompany you guys. I feel like you really could have a good time, maybe have a good drink with them, or maybe like talk with them like real buddy and be honest about your life choices that maybe you might have kept secret from people, but not them. You can be very honest with them, and they're understanding. They relate to you it feels like you can talk to them. So that's why this is a yes. I do feel they're very supportive emotionally, and that's why you go to them, because they actually provide you that emotional support. But it feels like they're very encouraging. I do feel you're people that, I think they probably are the people that have a young heart. They're older in a physical aspect, but they're young at heart. So they're very fun in that way, that they're playful, they're young at heart, they're not kiddish, but like they just know how to have a good time, and have a good time with like people that are younger than, like their grandchildren. They really are in touch with their grandchildren in that way. Or they might even allow you to socialize, and maybe you're connecting in that way because they might have allowed you to have your parties and stuff at their place and socialize, and they were cool with it. They were the hip grandparents. Very, very cool. So then, yeah, your grandparents are down with you, and this is a yes. Next, pile number 3 is the Eight of Pentacles reverse. No, 7 of Pentacles reverse. So it's not always a negative no and a positive yes, right? So do keep that in mind, and that can apply to the other ones. But I do feel the other piles were pretty good-hearted, I think. Just give me a second so I don't start sounding more screechy. I need to take more water. Pile number 3, when it comes to this scenario you're thinking about, I think that you're scared that your investments might not pull through. And that's something, it just feels like were you relying on your grandparents to give you an inheritance, or were you relying on your grandparents to kind of give you some financial assistance or something, or dependent, not that you needed it, but because I do feel that you're reliable, but were you counting on it and it fell through or something, or it feels like you thought you were going to get something, you got false hope and it didn't work out. It's one of those things. I don't know why there's like finances involved, but I do think that if you weren't relying on them, it feels like you were waiting on some monetary finances to pop in to help you with your life, with your endeavors, with your investments, and you might have to wait a little bit longer, or you might actually have to do things differently to get to that income. If you're relying on others, I think you'd probably have to rely on your own efforts to actually pull through, and maybe work a little bit more, work different hours, work a second job, or maybe like invest or save, being more frugal, practical. It could be one of those things where you just need to adjust certain things and then it'll come through. But that's why it's a no. So I think that maybe, I don't know if they cut you off or something, but it feels like this is a no for some financial reason, some financial purpose, an investment, or they're very old-fashioned. I do think this is a pile that's a little bit more reserved, a little bit more traditional. So would they be down with whatever you're doing in support of a certain life event right now? This is a no, probably because of that. I think they might want you to work differently. I think they want you to do things their way, and that just because they want you to do things their way, it might not be the right way anyways, because it's your way. Not your way or the highway kind of thing, but more so that you're going to learn and you're going to adjust things to do the right thing, right? But it takes time. So I do think that if you get success, it might take some time. You're just going to have to do trial and error. And that's okay, because just because they did things a certain way and it worked out for them does not mean it will work the same way for you. So maybe that's why you might clash in that way, where I feel like your finances or how you go about investments or traditional aspects or doing things by the book is not the way you feel like you need to do things, or it doesn't relate to you, or you just have a hard time like really accepting it because you want to do things differently. Maybe like example, like investing yourself in money that's not physical, like online money, like banking or Bitcoin, investing in and stuff like that, stocks. And if it's money that they don't, not that they don't understand, but that they didn't have to deal with, so they might not see this as reliable. There you go. So it feels like You might not have the most reliable sources in their eyes, but that doesn't mean it can't be. It's, again, modernization of the world can sometimes have something to do with that, and it's the changing times too. So that's why it's a no. Maybe it's a different type like of no scenario, but that's more or less the scenarios I keep getting. It's like finances with your grandparents, and traditional values and traditional paths of getting income, right? And there could be faster ways of even earning income that they might not agree with, but sometimes it just works for you, because it's different. Just because it's different and unknown doesn't mean it's like unreliable. It can be just sometimes scary for them because it's very chaotic for them. Up and down is not their thing. They like slow and steady money. So thank you, pile number 3. Pile number 4, you guys have the 2 of Pentacles reversed. This is a no. Do keep in mind that you're more than welcome to get your own interpretation. If it doesn't, if you feel like you don't align with my own, that's totally fine. The reason why this is a no, why your grandparents might not support a certain life event in your life, just like a previous pile, I'm not going to say which one, has to do with finances. They might not agree with not your financial, how can I say, it feels like there was one way or another way to handle things, and you chose the way they didn't want to do things. So that's what it feels like. It doesn't mean you had a bunch of options. It just feels like you had a black and white way, or you chose the gray zone, or you chose the opposite way. It just feels like they would have done things very differently and much more traditional than what you were doing. I do feel that there's like inflexibility here, so I feel that maybe they're like that, very stubborn, very not mean, could be just very old-fashioned, and I feel that you feel that, so that's why it's no. They're not supportive because they don't love you. They're just not supportive because they don't agree with the way you're going about things. They don't agree necessarily about this different path you're taking because it's the less explored path, and that's scary for them because maybe they had to be a little bit more direct when it comes to how they earned income at the time, because maybe they had a family that they had to support and they couldn't have the luxury of like investing in like speculative businesses, for example, and you do. Maybe your circumstances your circumstances are very different from theirs, so it can be tricky. I also think there's maturity here, whether it's from them or you, but there's a maturity aspect where in time you will know how to balance yourself, or in time you would know how to be in a little bit of everything. I think that you chose the avenues where you're dipping your hands in so many things to make it work because it feels comfortable for you, as opposed to just sticking to one thing. And that's where they kind of like they're drawing the line of like, no, that's not how we would approach it. So that's why it's a no. It's not that they don't support you necessarily, it's just that they think very differently from you, and they're not considering the fact that you had very different necessities in your life, and maybe in time they would learn to be a little bit more playful, to be a little bit more loose, let you take reins of your own life. I feel they're a little bit more controlling, but do keep in mind this is just a general reading and only take what resonates. And you're more than welcome to get your own interpretation, but this is what the vibe I'm getting. So thank you, pile number 4. Pile number 5, you guys have the 10 of Swords, the 10 of Wands upright. So this is a yes. They do support your specific life event, but I think it's taking them a lot of effort and a lot of dedication. So I think it's like they're trying to understand you, and they're trying to meet you halfway, but they're doing so much work. It just feels like they're trying to not stick to their ways, which is great. It's great to not stick to your ways, just because it can close you off from the people that you love, and they love you so much that they're making the effort, but it's a lot. So maybe I think you are a very alternative person, or not alternative the way we think, but alternative to them, where it's like, oh, you're doing so many things that's not common for them. Like maybe you're not sticking to like marrying someone and depending on that person and staying home or having kids, or maybe you're someone that went out of your own culture and decided to do things differently, or you decided to invest in yourself and put your money in your own business and stuff, and it's like it's scary for them. It's scary to them for them to have so many different choices that they didn't have, or they didn't have the not the capacity but the courage to like want to be different, to struggle. And you want to struggle. It feels like you love it. If you, not that you love like struggling, ha ha ha, but you love a challenge. And they see that, and they can understand your passion. So that's why it feels like, yes, they're supportive. It takes a lot of work for them, but they're trying to understand you. They're trying not to get so angry or so passionate about their opinions, but I do think they respect that you have a lot of self-discipline. It feels like they understand you in that way, where like you're not going to stop just because you heard like a lot of no's. It feels like you're going to still continue to figure out what is a way to break through, what's the best way to success for you. And they see that in themselves a little bit, so they can connect in that way where they're like, oh yeah, like we worked very hard and diligently, but so do you. Like it's different, but the value and the self-discipline is there. So they understand that, and they relate. They know how you have a lot of dedication to your craft. They know that you have a lot of dedication and passion to, your life and what you want and you desire, and you go full force, and you don't let anybody stop you, even if it takes some time. So I do think it is daunting and exhausting, but that's not going to stop you. So I do think they relate to that, maybe that workaholic tendency. So do keep that in mind. But yes, this is great. It feels nice. I feel like it's a nice supportive energy, stubborn, but understanding. So do take what resonates, pile number 5. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. So bye everyone.